Hello, good day. So today we'll be talking about why men don't want to settle anymore. And I would say some men, because men are still getting married, but there are some men who feel not ready. There's almost like this tension in the air where some people can't really be bothered. And people have been saying, how come our parents were able to settle down early, but men are now getting into their 40s and still haven't been able to, find a wife? So I'd like us to have empathy for the men, first of all, because our society, we put a lot of pressure on them, pressure to get married, pressure to provide, and all of that. So let's at least cut them some slack, okay? So let's look at it from different angles. When they say older people got married earlier, if we were to look back, you realize that many people went back to check the families from where the prospective partners were to come from. So there was this kind of community validation going on. You see people tracing back the patterns of a family, checking their integrity, checking their lineage, how they show up before they can now say, okay, they're from a good home, so we can recommend that person for so and so, so and so. So you realize that it was more about values. It was more about those core things, not about money or how the person looked. So you see that there was a more compatibility-based selection going on than the chemistry-based that our young people are so used to. Vibes everywhere. So people are marrying at that time with purpose and accountability. People actually went in there with a focus, with a purpose, with knowing that this is somebody's child. We need to do right, whether male or female. Another thing you need to know is that the society has actually changed. Urbanization, migration, globalization. Like, you can see somebody online and somehow you feel you even know them. And when you see them in person, you're like, hi, do you know me? Or, you almost expect the person to know you because you've been seeing them on social media. So everybody is now closer to each other. So that now makes it, it just demystifies the process of trying to get to know people for who they are and not what they show on the social media space. You now find out that social media is replacing mentorship. People are not going to professionals anymore. They're not going to their pastors anymore. They're just scrolling through to see anybody that's speaking about relationship. As long as it vibes with their understanding of what it should be, they're like, word. Another is, of course, social media and the programming. Social media has programmed a lot of people from a place of fear. You're being exposed to all sorts going on in marriage, and there's no how you say, oh, that is them. Because our minds work in a way that whatever we feed it on a constant basis, it helps the mind to form a belief around something. Look at it this way. If you go online and you're looking for a handbag, you know, see that the algorithm starts to throw handbags your way, right? That's the way the mind works. The more things you feed it, the more it goes out there, cognitive bias, it goes out there looking for that thing to prove that what it already knows is correct. So your mind, no matter how strong you think it is absorbing the statement of good marriages don't exist. Because, how come you're seeing bad marriages everywhere? How will you even be able to break that to say, okay, yes, good marriages exist, right? And this repetition is giving a mental conditioning. So men and women more or less become defensive and like, why should I risk this my peace and go and collect pain? Because everything I'm seeing out there is pain. Another, of course, is the economic pressure. You all know the cost of living is high, everything, inflation. So by the time a list is brought out, before you even buy 1, 2, 3 items, the salary that you've been saving for 6 months is already gone. So the expectations the expectations some in-laws have of these men makes it seem as if they're selling their daughter, or there's a financial project going on, or everything that they wanted in life, that because you're coming to get their daughter, you need to fulfill it because they trained her and as such they're reaping the benefits. So men are delaying so that they can become fully established. And how long does it take a man in Nigeria of today to become fully established? How many months' salary? And you still need to feed, you still need to pay your bills, utilities, and there's so many things. In this generation of ours, especially online, all these apps that you're using, you're paying for them. So you find out that your monies are being divided into different areas. So because of this, the emotional connection is reduced. they delay maturity, because I mean the idea is that you're mature when you've made it in life. You have a car, you have a house, you have car, house, you have a fat investment somewhere in the bank. So now people are struggling to think about, how can I make money to marry? They're not even thinking about, how can I learn how to love? So you now bring the money and then you get in there, and then it still has conflicts, because the ingredients that make a relationship and a marriage work is not about how much money. It's about understanding the principles of how relationships actually work. Another, of course, is the cultural confusion of, the tussle between equality, who is above, who is below, and all of that. There needs to be a rhythm. You see, back then in the days, it was more like partnership. But now, sometimes you can even find couples being against each other. It's almost like they're in a competition. Marriage is supposed to be partnership and teamwork, not competition to see who is doing better. It's not an institution where if you have too much, your partner brings you down. I don't want her to have too much so she doesn't insult me. So it takes a lot of maturity and emotional intelligence to be able to find someone that's on that same frequency with you for it to really work. So men are like, I don't want any woman to come and sit on my head. Some men say if women have too much money, they will insult you. So there's all that debate going on, and all of these are coming together to form a belief. Then, of course, you have loss of self-awareness and emotional education. See, many young people do not have the education that they need to understand who they are as an individual, understand their personalities, their triggers, their patterns, their strengths, their weaknesses, the opportunities that present themselves, their threats, their values, their beliefs. It's a lot, but there's no school of thought. You're not taught in school about yourself. So you believe that because you grew up with yourself, you know yourself already. But there's so much more to that, because that self, that inner you, is what is going to interact with the inner of the other partner, right? And when those things begin to clash, they say, they're incompatible, irreconcilable differences. That's how you pronounce it, right? So there are communication styles. So without self-knowledge, choosing your partner now becomes guesswork. So men are like, because now we're talking about the men and why they're delaying to get married. So men are like, what is the point self? It's not as if I even really know this person. And even the men themselves don't really know themselves. They say men want peace, women want clarity and that kind of thing. That's a bit too aloof and superficial. Everybody wants peace and everybody wants clarity. I mean, no man wants to marry somebody he's not really sure about, and no woman wants to marry somebody she cannot have peace with. Because these things are human needs, not necessarily a gender need, right? So people don't get the education. And I'm hoping that this video, if possible, could go viral so people can know that there's something like this that exists. They don't get the education from experienced relationship coaches like myself. So they don't know that there's an emotional muscle that you need to build to understand what love is about, what compatibility is about, what chemistry is about. So at the end of the day, self-awareness is the foundation of relationship readiness. You cannot say you're ready for love or relationship when you do not even know how you're going to show up in that love or relationship. Many people want love, but they do not even know how to love. Many people want love, but when the love comes, they scatter it, they sabotage it because they don't understand how to process it. And it's until you know who you are, how you show up, and how you understand what love means before you even be able to know if you can replicate it or if you can receive it. Another, of course, is this period where social media, there's so many people giving advice. There's misinformation, there's generalization, many amateurs, influencers, they're giving their take. And maybe somebody has 10 million followers, they're doing so good in business, they're able to sell stuff, they market stuff. Because of the following, if that person comes up with an opinion and says, this is this and that is that in a relationship, people will gladly believe, because people believe that for him or her to have had 10 million followers, it means the person must have sense in every area of life. And it doesn't work that way. Somebody can be great at marketing and sales and have no clue on how to make a relationship actively work well, right? So that is why I implore that no matter how good you are in whatever field you are in, you should submit to higher authority, submit to higher knowledge, to get more knowledge to add to areas where you have lapses. Even as a relationship coach, I'm not good with marketing and sales. I have to find a coach for that. Financial coach, I look for a financial coach. I need to get professionals from different areas to help me. And even as a relationship coach, I'm still learning more from my superiors. So life is about continuous learning. You can't just live life on autopilot. So of course, with back to social media, the generalization is that people say, oh, all men or all women are users, all women, all they want is money. If you don't have money, somebody commented on one of my posts and said, there's nothing you want to teach about relationship. As long as you have money, relationship will work. Once you have plenty money, your relationship will last for 500 years. And you can see that mindset. And that was put on his social media space. And if he has people who look up to him, then they'll take it hook, line, and sinker and say, oh, this is my mentor. He said that money is the only thing that can maintain a relationship. Money is great. But the way he put it is like, when you have just money, relationship will work. Is that true? So you have these generalized statements out there. And because of that, it even kills the hope of men before relationship even begins. And of course, some men are just afraid to fail in relationships. They don't want a situation whereby they get in there and they get humiliated because maybe they didn't make it work, or there's some rumors that are being spread that, this guy does not even know how to keep a marriage, Possibly he has seen some role models, maybe his father, his uncle, cousins, that they actually lose peace, they lose money, lose property, lose investments, lose their dignity because of marriage. And they're like, is it really worth it at the end of the day? So they are scared. And men don't want to open up and tell you that they're scared because we've said, be a man, don't cry. So they're trying to live up to that stoic thingy, forgetting that they're human beings too, and their feelings are valid. They should open up and talk about these things. They need help. They need support. They need understanding. So men not marrying early or more or less giving up on marriage is not because they wouldn't want to. I mean, who doesn't want connection? Who doesn't want love? Who doesn't want to be seen, to be soothed, to be heard? Everybody wants that. But it's just that the modern times have brought up a big ball of distrust. People are not able to trust anymore. And then, of course, there's a lot of misunderstandings going on. And, of course, missing guidance. I mean, videos like this won't go viral. You can see on the social media space the kind of videos that are going out, especially with this monetization era. Videos that do not teach anything. Videos that can push the dopamine like that and get people glued on it and like either they're laughing or they're ogling at something, So things that are like knowledge, people don't want to. And I believe it's because sometimes knowledge scares people. People really don't want to face themselves. It's not an easy thing to look at yourself in a vulnerable way, but that's the best way forward. So the way forward, of course, is people need emotional intelligence. People need to be self-aware. There are marriages that are healthy. There are marriages where the partners understand themselves, they're growing together, but it takes two people who are healthy to make a healthy marriage. Anyone who is unhealthy in their thoughts, in their beliefs, in their actions, in their behaviors will bleed on the person that is healthy. And it's going to be so draining for the one who is put together, emotionally aware. You can't put all the load on one person to carry the marriage. Both of you have to meet up at some point. Forgive, learn, grow, get the same mentors, get the same coach, get a coach that's going to be your marital coach that you can defer to every 2 weeks, every once a month. Get a budget for that, because your coach is definitely going to need payment for her job because she went to study this. So I want to encourage people to get mentors who challenge them to be better. I want to say people should be more honest in their conversations. Like men open up, talk. Yes, some people, there's no how. There are men coaches. If you don't talk to a female coach like myself, you can talk to male coaches. They can guide you because professionals understand human behaviors, human thoughts. And I doubt any professional would ridicule any man for thinking that, oh, I don't feel ready, I'm scared, I'm worried, But just know that men aren't scared to love. They're just scared of losing themselves, right? The goal is to create relationships where men can feel safe to stay. I hope every man that's watching this will keep hope alive and know that you're not alone and there are people who truly know and truly care about what you're going through. I am Jo-Jean Imoh-Ita. I'm a certified relationship and marriage coach. I'll drop some links in the caption in case you'd like my services, so that you can reach out. I'm here to serve. Thank you.